You're watching Teng Tools Muscle Garage, the home of New Zealand's toughest muscle cars, hot rods and street machines. Muscle Garage is proudly brought to you by Teng Tools in association with Mount Shop, Maguire's and Niedercar. Coming up, we shed raid one of the country's biggest rod and custom workshops, Palmerston North's Kruzin Kustoms. And things get raucous and rowdy at the third Rebel Roundup, now in its new home at Pukekohe Park Raceway. First up though, the crew from Maguire's sent us to track down John and Carol's 68 Dodge Dart, an 8-year labour of love and plenty of other strong emotions too.
Believe it or not, 7 or 8 years ago there weren't a lot around because, Mustangs, Camaros, beautiful cars, love them, got one ourselves. Chryslers, not so many, always like the Valiants, of course, but these are just a little bit up from them, I think, being an American Valiant really, aren't they? It's fun, it's not a daily driver, I definitely wouldn't take it down to the supermarket. It's different, it's noisy, it's 60s race car. It's old like me, it's just my era, I just love it. I was damaged from an early age probably, always had motorcycles, absolutely love them. It's the sheer excitement because it's getting from the get up and go, it's not boring, it's fun. It's not about showing off, it's just a personal thing that both Carol and I are both very passionate about, probably always have been. Once you get the bug, I guess, people understand, you just don't lose it.
The Dodge wasn't John's first rodeo. Its stablemate, a Matamata Panelworks infused 66 Mustang, built to concours condition, but it would be the most challenging. However, sourcing the Dart, for John at least, was as easy as it gets.
Surprise, actually. I got bored and was looking for another vehicle to do up, etc. And of course I whinged like hell, as most guys do. And Carol very lovingly sneaked in, went on eBay and sourced this car from America. I was working one day and I looked up and I saw this blue thing arrive and so I was totally over the moon. So I always wanted a Dart, and but to find a post Dart was just unbelievable, so especially a coupe. You don't see them, and that's what I liked. It's odd. It's sort of a little bit ugly, but it's different, and it's very 60s race car theme. The plan was to put a whacking great big motor in it because it had a slant 6 in it, of course. So yeah, that's when the project began. It is just about completed. It was quite a straight car. It was quite patinaed in that, and it was blue. We were going to leave it like that and just put a bit of clear over it and just basically just have it look like a bit of a skid car, as they say. But we got talked around to doing a little bit more, and it's paid off in the end. It's well worth it in the long run.
The long run, however, wasn't without its trials. The body went back to bare steel and the car coated in Ford's Grabber Orange, offset by a matte fiberglass hood and Hemi-style scoop. But perhaps an early sign of things to come, the windscreen wouldn't survive the process intact, and the Dart's unique shape would come back to bite them. It took a great deal of time to source what may well be the last unit out of the States. This theme would unfortunately continue to the mechanicals. The 383 and the 440 stroker kit would gather 4 years of dust with the first engine builder. The second would quickly discover the weight was for little reason. The block was useless. Fortunes changed eventually when a 400 cuber was located and motor preparations of Otorohanga stepped in. The stroker kit's eagle crank, rods and forged pistons taking it out to a lively 512 cubes. The Torque Flight was another battle, now in its third incarnation and hopefully its last, due to the input of Casper transmissions, while Hamilton's tuning and performance were charged with getting the whole combo working as one.
It's developing 440 at the wheels, or just over 500. The crank and 715 foot-pounds, so we're quite impressed with that. It's not big horsepower, but it's genuine horsepower, and it's all I need. It's plenty for an old fella. So.
Out back, the Chrysler shop came to the party with an 8 3/4 inch X Super B diff with LSD head, An extra leaf was added to each side, along with firmer shocks. Up front, PST torsion bars replaced the factory fare. No frills is the name of the game here. Don't even think about AC. Even the steering is part Flaming River. The rest, a whole lot of effort by John. On the open road is where this car comes into its own, and with each mile, the memory of the Dart's trying build seems just a little bit smaller in the rear view.
It's just things that seem to try you, I guess, aren't they? It's cars. As long as you turn the key and it starts, your days, you're on a winner already. You know, you can leave whatever issues you have. You know, if you're perhaps in a bit of a bad mood, which some people never get in, but sometimes I do, apparently. It's just fun. It's really hard to explain. I guess it's not worth trying to tell someone who's got no interest in them at all because they just think we're idiots, you know what I mean? But to me, it's just probably is an obsession and a bit of a, it's a real passion, yeah. And the memories and the heartache from this thing is enough to last me a lifetime. So it's been an experience and it's something I'll never forget, that's for sure.
Right, thanks to Nidaka, we're off to Pukekohe Park Raceway for the Rebel Roundup. The Rebel Roundup isn't a new show, but you could be forgiven for thinking so. Such was the buzz leading up to the weekend. What had changed was its location, a shift from Rotorua to Pukekohe. And while the venue's track would see plenty of action over the weekend with cruise circuits and flag drop racing, it was the surrounding grounds that proved a great success too. The Roundup, a happy mix of live music, swap meet, vintage markets and fashion, even camping. But it was the cars that took up most of the real estate. The Petrolhead Anniversary Show took care of the more general variety, but the Roundup's real point of difference was the big nostalgia turnout, in the form of a show within a show. The classic cover Primer Nationals.
Primer Nationals is a celebration of traditional cars, so I-beam axles and transverse springs and flathead V8 and all that sort of thing.
And the word primer isn't so much a hard and fast rule, more of a guide round here. We
don't just necessarily have primer only as traditional cars with gloss paint, mag wheels, as wild and crazy as you can possibly think of. We think that's cool. Bare bones, they're bone shakers basically. I guess you could say that speed, danger, death thing. You feel like you're going to die every time you get in one, but they're actually built really safely. They've got seat belts and all that sort of thing in them, and I think it's just the thrill, you know. It's not a car you'd want to drive from Auckland to Wellington in, but certainly around town and all that sort of thing, a lot of fun.
Add one racetrack to that list. For the Primer Nationals entrants brave enough to subject their cars to a bit of pre-track scrutineering, the reward was plenty of opportunity to have a bit of fun out front and centre. The event's lean to the period-style car makes the Rebel Roundup a nice addition to a calendar that's felt pretty empty since the last blowout.
Hot Rod Association shows are more shiny and the rockabilly thing was never really catered for, and so this event caters for rockabilly, traditional hot rod, a bit of everything. So, and as you say, there's a hole in the market as such for it, and proof of the pudding is it's been filled and done well.
Away from home was Christchurch's Justin Orpwood.
It's a 1930 Model A Ford Coupe. It's got a supercharged 392 Hemi in it, 4-speed, 9-inch diff, 411 gears and true track centre. It's got some of the good stuff going on in there. The body was pretty good. Coming from Sacramento, normal story was 32 chassis, put a Chrysler in it and 5-inch roof chop. Just the bare metal, it's just how it is at the moment until I can get some paint put on it. But I still want to go for the drag racing, hot rodding, try and get as much in as I can while I've got the car.
One look at the coupe should answer any questions as to why Ford's Model A was the pick, but there were a few practical reasons too.
Price-wise, the entry level, you know, you go to a 3.25 window, the price is through the roof on those, and you can get parts for these reasonably easy. Originally was going to run the Chrysler Hemi with an 8-carb manifold on it and go real just traditional 60s hot rod. But with having a couple of issues with the motor, we ended up putting a blower on it and rebuilding the whole internals of it, you know, took it down to ERS and they just went right through the whole thing and gave me a good package. So I was like, oh well, next thing you know, it was a 4-speed and 411s, and just tricked it right out underneath it, and good for drag racing. And when it was going to be with the 6-carb manifold, we were going to paint it gloss black and like cookie cutter tyres and just run it that way, you know, but the way it is now, I'm pretty happy.
Justin's not the only one, apparently. A crowd favourite all weekend and a deserving winner of 2018's Primer King crown.
Amazing results, even at full sight.
You're back with Teng Tools Muscle Garage, proudly brought to you by Teng Tools, in association with Mount Shop, Maguire's and Niedercar. Right, thanks to Niedercar, we're back to Pukekohe's Rebel Roundup. 2018's new location ramped things up in a big way for the event. Its third year, its biggest by a long shot, and the more northern venue a hit with a driver turnout partial to more traditional and period styling. But there was a bit of something for everyone.
This has got potential to be one of the best events in the country, you know, already. We were here yesterday afternoon cruising around the track. It doesn't get a lot cooler than following an AFX drag car around a racetrack around here, you know. It's got a real good vibe. I think it feels like the good old hot rod events back in the 80s when we first got into it. Nice and relaxed, and the organisers just need a real pat on the back. I think they've done a really cool job. 32 Roadster, New Zealand built car. It's a good old fiberglass car from way back in the day, out of Dunedin. Got a 383 Chevy in it, twin 4 barrels. Got a auto 9-inch, you know, a McDonald's combo.
While the finish on Hughes 32 puts him right at home amongst the Primer Nationals lineup, the car makes a few slightly more modern concessions in the name of driving, something this car sees a lot of.
Yeah, it's got a checkered history. It's been through quite a few owners. It was in pretty average condition when we got it, but you know, it's still a good streetable car, but we've done a lot to it since then. We get out and use it as much as we can. Good fun car, the best fun I've ever had in the car. Good to be out in the open, eh? It's just a bit of humour. Like some of the best times we've had in that car has been when it's been howling down with rain and everybody's sort of driving past you, looking at you going, what a freak, but you know, we all know that anyway, you know, so who cares?
Hot rodding tends to have a bias towards early Ford canvases of the 20s and 30s. It's for good and obvious reasons, but it does make going your own way just a little bit harder, unless you're Luke Enyon.
Why? Because it hadn't happened here before. I started building the T-bucket, and there's lots of them around, so I was like, oh, well, let's build a steel body. Never had a go at it before, and yeah, just tried. And yeah, it didn't turn out too badly, I don't think. running a 351 Cleveland with 2 V heads and the quad Webers. So yeah, still a bit of tuning to go, but yeah, it doesn't get used probably as much as it should.
And it's not too hard to imagine some of the blank stares when Luke pitched the idea originally.
Big time, like trying to convince people of what I was doing, trying to convince my partner that it was like, I'm going to build a steel body like Ed Roth, and they're like, the T-bucket was so close, we were pretty much at the wooding stage, so I was ready to finish it, and I just ripped the body off one day and went, no, I'm not happy with this, and just started building that, and everyone was like, no. But they couldn't see. In my head, I kind of knew how it was going to look, and it's hard to explain, you know. It wasn't really until we got all the panels all together and started doing the interior, people were like, whoa, actually, this is kind of cool.
But throwing the Hot Rodding 101 book out the window brings uncharted territory and more than a few occasions of head scratching.
Probably the biggest one was the roof, and that was a bit of a challenge just trying to figure out how to do it, because Ed Roth was real secretive on how he'd done it. And after finding out how he'd done it, we were going to go down that line, but it wasn't going to work for us. A mate of mine said, well, there's a place in West Auckland, Cumbrian Plastics, that do blowing of perspex and polycarbonates. Yeah, we figured it out. After I had to email them a photo of a sketch of what it was going to look like, because trying to get them to blow a dome for a car, they couldn't quite understand.
Speaking of challenges, piloting a moving goldfish bowl has its own too.
There's a scoop behind the rear seat that's hooked up to the radiator fans that draws air out of the cabin. So when you're moving, it's good. It's when you're stopped, you run into issues. But it's a real surreal feeling, because driving around with loud pipes open for so long, and then to actually put the roof down, it just goes dead quiet. And it's such a weird feeling. It's no wind, no noise. It's pretty cool.
The Rebel Roundup wraps with a few trophies. Among them, a bit of a bare metal theme going on. Justin's A-Coupe all the way from Christchurch, taking home the big one, Primer King. The Keys chopped Merc sled was awarded Best Custom, while Mike Roberts' hand-built A-Pickup scooped Rad Rod. That's rad, definitely not rat. Look out for the next Rebel Roundup in 2019. Okay, thanks to Mount Shop, we're headed for the bright lights of Palmerston North to shed raid Kruzin Kustoms.
I think cars found me at the beginning of it all. Typical story, you got your licence, you got your first car, you're young, you wanted to do something different, and it just evolved from that. You know, I don't think I've ever owned an unmodified car in some way, shape or form. I was a mechanic at a transmission shop for 13 years. I then went to a dealership and worked in a dealership, kind of got over changing the same oil filters, etc. on the same kind of cars every day. Had a bit of a thought to do something like this, and it just evolved. We're at a stage now that it's growing so fast that we can't even really keep up with it.
The workshop is now right at the pointy end of New Zealand's biggest in rod and custom circles. We counted over 20 vehicles on the go and 9 staff. The team do everything from go to woe except wiring and upholstery, which is outsourced to trusted partners. Important when bolting together one-off custom vehicles.
It's got its pros and cons. Like the saying goes, you can be one of 1,000 or you can be one of one. The downside of the one of one is it's never been done before, so everything takes longer than what you predictably think it's going to. But also the fact of being able to change, let's say, an ugly duckling into the swan. That's the cool thing. I believe you can make anything look cool. Be it a roof chop or the wheels or the interior, whatever it is. Yeah, you can make anything look cool, as far as I'm concerned.
Some cars don't need a whole lot of help in that regard, though.
Very rare car. Came to us to find them a 55 Nomad. Once I found out how much they were, I said, do you want a 56 or a 57? No, they want a 55. Okay, cool. So we got it in here, we've stripped it down to every nut and bolt. It's now going the Lamborghini Orange, LS2 in it with 4-speed auto. It's now 4-wheel disc brakes, narrowed 9-inch, 4 bars, airbags, full leather interior, air conditioning, the whole deal. This is going to be a very, very nice car. It's never good enough. Never ever good enough. If you're satisfied, then it's mediocre. Everything can always get better, always. And that really depends on the customer as well. They know what they want. It takes what it takes to get what they want. The better customers have made the better jobs. 1956 F100, this belongs to a guy, Herb, in Christchurch. Bought a picture of the Sylvester Stallone Expendables truck. Says, make me that. Okay, cool. Okay, so we've done that. It's got a twin turbo supercharged Coyote motor with a 6-speed manual in it. Once again, 4-wheel disc brakes, triangulated 4 bars, height super ride front end, 2.5-inch roof chop, and a whole lot of other custom features.
You'll note trucks are a bit of a theme on the workshop floor currently, and Kruzin Kustoms takes that one step further, now also manufacturing 53 to 61 Ford frames, which are proving popular both locally and internationally. Another common element? Late model motivation.
The car's got to be drivable. If you don't enjoy driving it, you're not going to drive it, so it's a waste of time. You get an LS motor, you get it out of a Commodore, Camaro, Corvette, something like that. You send the computer away to the electrician, comes back with 6 wires labelled, you plug it in, you wire it up, you turn the key, it goes. It's done. That's something that we're tending to do a lot. You know, we've got vehicles now that we're doing all the right-hand drive conversions, heated seats, paddle shift, injected motors, so on and so on. That's the big thing at the moment.
Bucking the trend a bit is this HT Monaro belonging to Peter and Delilah Szymanski. You might recall their monster shed from a couple of weeks back. The General's Coupe is definitely more old school, 1,200 horses of it in fact. The tube chassis hosts a 540 blown and injected supercharged big block backed by a Tremac TKO 5-speed and 9-inch diff. Tubbed out back and with a Heights IFS put to work up front, this Monaro would be a dream car for many. The opportunity to piece them together isn't half bad either.
Yeah, it is a dream job. You know, it's got the stresses that come with everyday life, the same as anybody else's job. But I am what I am. I wear my t-shirt to work, I wear my shorts and my work boots, and you get to do a whole lot of things. I don't know if you could have anything better than that. Work with cars, you do a skid every so often. It's pretty cool, yeah.
Every week, we're giving our viewers the chance to win a Teng Tools and Maguire's gift pack worth $250. Simply go to themotorhood.com and follow the Teng Tools Muscle Garage link. Plus, by entering our weekly draws, at the end of the series, one lucky viewer will win a Teng Tools 460-piece automotive toolkit, a complete Maguire's car care pack, and a $500 Mount Shop voucher. The total value of this grand prize is almost $5,000. Good luck, everyone. Teng Tools Muscle Garage was proudly brought to you by Teng Tools. Get organised. Mount Shop, undercar specialists. Maguire's, people who love cars love Maguire's. And Need a Car, the easy way to research and buy cars online.